This is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for joining me, and we've got some updates coming from here in the West Midlands and scenes that I've attended myself to document for the followers. The first story is the most recent, and it was on the 6th of August 2025 when a three-car collision in Upper Gornal, Dudley has resulted in 3 men losing their life. The first one to pass away was 22 years old. He was taken to hospital and they did their best to save his life, but sadly he passed away shortly after. Investigators are continuing to appeal for witnesses to the collision. It involved a Ford Transit van, a white Seat and a white Hyundai i20 just after 7 a.m. on the 6th of August. A second man, also aged 22, and a third man aged 28, was sadly pronounced dead at the scene in Kent Street. The driver of the van was taken to hospital with minor injuries and has since been discharged, and all 3 men that have died were in the Seat car. So from this police statement we can ascertain that the man who was in the van was at no fault, because he was taken to hospital and wasn't charged with any offences. They would have drug tested him and alcohol tested him, but the fact that he was let go and not arrested says that he was not responsible, and all of the victims were in the car that was turned over in the scene that you can see on the screen. Detective Sergeant Paul Hughes from the Serious Collision Investigation Unit said, "This is truly awful what has happened, and our thoughts remain with the loved ones of the victims. Specialist liaison officers are continuing to support the families, and investigations are progressing, and they are urging anybody to not speculate about what occurred." A lot of people have paid tributes on our TikTok page and also our other social medias such as Instagram, and 2 young men have been named as Hayden and Kyle, and the third victim is yet to be named locally by friends and family. I want to send my condolences to their friends and family, and will definitely keep you updated on what they determined was the cause of the crash when they release that information. This next story is an update to a scene that I attended on the 21st of July. It was the murder of Lee Baker in Rednal on Ormscliffe Road, and he was struck by a car at 10 minutes past 5 in the afternoon. When I attended the scene, there was a very big cordon in place and multiple different points of interest for the police. There was 2 tents erected, and shops that were nearby were also cordoned off for potential evidence or somewhere that somebody fled to. Round the corner from Ormscliffe Road, in a maisonette set of flats, there was also 2 doors that had been blasted off by the police, and they were present at both of these doors, and neighbours said that this is where arrests took place after the murder. Lee suffered serious injuries and later died in hospital, and the man that has been charged with his murder is Michael Povey, 28 years old. He was arrested on suspicion of Lee's murder along with other offences, and he was charged several days ago with murder, perverting the course of justice and theft of a motor vehicle. He will appear before city magistrates today, and 2 other men, 28 and 29 years old, remain on police bail. Detective Inspector Michelle Cordell, who is leading the investigation, said, "This is a significant development in our investigation, and we still need vital evidence from people who were in the local area." They said they believed there was a lot of people in the area at the time, and they were urging people to come forward for Lee's family and to tell us what they know. So rest in peace to Lee Baker, and we'll definitely keep you updated on the outcome of that trial. And don't forget to send your stories, or if you see a scene anywhere in the West Midlands or London, just message us and we'll get somebody down to try to document it as best as we can. In this next story, it's an update to a case that I covered last year. It's about the murder of a 15-year-old boy in West Brom. Isaac Brown was fatally stabbed to death in New Square at 9 p.m. on the 7th of April 2024. Isaac, along with 2 friends, had arranged to meet up with Raheem Nazir, who was 18 years old, and a 14-year-old boy who cannot be named for legal reasons. They were trying to sort out a dispute. At around 6:30 p.m. that day, a 12-year-old boy was robbed by a group in Smethwick, and this included the 2 defendants. The victim was assaulted and his jacket was stolen. Isaac knew the victim of the robbery through a friend and circulated various messages on social media to find out who the attackers were. The defendants communicated with Isaac and his friend on social media, and tensions began to rise between the two groups. Nazir posted, "Do you know who I am? I'll teach you a lesson." The two groups then met in West Brom. Isaac and his friends were confronted by the group, who was armed with weapons. Isaac's group ran to New Square, which is where they were confronted, and Isaac was stabbed. CCTV footage showed the disorder between the teenagers, and weapons were brandished, and tragically Isaac was fatally stabbed in the chest. Nazir of Edith Road, Smethwick, and the 14-year-old boy fled but were both arrested the following day. Today at Manchester Crown Court, Nazir was jailed for more than 9 years in prison. The 14-year-old was sentenced to 4 years and 9 months in a Young Offenders Institute. The two teenagers previously pled guilty to manslaughter, robbery and possession of an offensive weapon at an earlier hearing. Chief Superintendent Kim Medill from Sandwell Police said Isaac was just 15 years old, he had his whole life ahead of him and it was tragically cut short. Knife crime is a priority for us at West Midlands Police, and we're doing everything we can to educate young people about the dangers of carrying a blade. We are listening to families affected by knife crime, and our responsibility is to work together with partners to try to understand what children think and to try to prevent them from carrying weapons. So rest in peace to Isaac, and such a stupid reason as to why this escalated, and shows how social media and the internet can sometimes facilitate arguments to the point that it goes too far. Please pay respects in the comments, and please send your stories to scarcitystudios@gmail.com. In this next story, it comes from Wolverhampton. I attended a scene after somebody told me that there was a police presence on Parkfield Road in Wolverhampton 2 weeks ago. This occurred in the early hours of Sunday morning, and one man in his 20s suffered life-threatening head injuries and remained in a serious condition in hospital, and a second man also needed hospital treatment. 9 men were arrested and questioned following the disorder that took place on the 27th of July on Sunday morning. Detective Inspector Adam Keane from Wolverhampton CID said, "We're moving forward with our inquiries to establish exactly what happened, and we're appealing to anybody that was in the local area. Parkfield Road is a busy road, even at night. We would ask you to check your dashcam footage for any information." 3 days later, we was also notified to an incident in Burberry Park on the 30th of July. Just before 7 p.m, police were called and attended and found a 20-year-old man with injuries to his head and back. He was treated by paramedics before being taken to hospital, and his injuries were not believed to be life-threatening. 2 other men in their 20s were also treated for injuries before being taken for further checks at the hospital. A 33-year-old woman was arrested on suspicion of wounding, and she remained in police custody for inquiries. Officers were carrying out door-to-door investigations as part of the inquiries, and they understand that these incidents cause concern, and they raise patrols in the local area of Les Halles for the foreseeable future. So I really appreciate you joining me for these updates. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. And don't forget to follow on social media at Scarcity Studios on Instagram, TikTok, Telegram and Twitter.